Presunieme sa na ďalšiu prednášku, ktorá je tentokrát z Fakulty sociálnych a ekonomických vied. Bude v angličtine a bude nám ju prednášať doktorka Clarissa Do Nascimento Tabosa.
Na začiatku potrebujem dať prezentáciu. Dobre, a kde to posúvam? Aha, super. OK, tak dobrý deň. Volám sa Clarissa Tabosa a pracujem na Fakulte sociálnych a ekonomických vied, konkrétnejšie na Ústave európskych štúdií a medzinárodných vzťahov. A na našom ústave všetci väčšinou učíme po anglicky a ako asi počujete, ja nie som Slovenka, pochádzam z Brazílie, som tu študovala na Komenského u nás na fakulte a hoci niekedy veľmi výnimočne učím po slovensky, a teraz by som prešla do angličtiny. I want to start today by talking about power. Not only military power, not only economic strength, but a softer and I would say fluffier kind of influence. So we are here today to explore what I believe is one of the most unique and successful examples of power projection in modern history, which is panda diplomacy. So my goal today is to show you how pandas have been transformed by China into a complex, multi-phase diplomatic tool, shifting from just a gesture of goodwill to a powerful geopolitical tool of both soft and hard power. So to understand panda diplomacy, we first need to define what power is in a modern state. There is this very renowned American political scientist. You'll be hearing a lot about him if you attend my classes at the faculty. His name is Joseph Nye. And Nye, he defined power as the ability to affect others to get the outcomes you want. And that seems straightforward, but the way you affect others is what matters here. So how do you think that states can project power? Or in other words, what can states do to make sure that they achieve their goals in the international realm? Any guesses? For example, think about the United States. What can they do if they want another state to do something for them? Any guesses? You can answer in Slovak if you want. Go ahead.
Usually the USA would threaten someone.
They can threaten, yes. Threaten with what, for example? What are they doing right now? So the Trump administration, they were not really happy about how economic and specifically trade relations are going. So what did they decide to do? They decided to impose tariffs. So one thing they can do to get the outcome they want is to impose tariffs, right? Russia was not really satisfied. They had different ambitions regarding Ukraine. So what did they do to achieve their goals in the international realm? What did they do? They started a full-scale invasion in 2022, right? So they breached the territorial integrity of Ukraine, and it took territory, right? So there are different ways that states can achieve what they want in the international level. So in the study of international relations, we generally break down into two categories: hard power and soft power. Hard power is what we traditionally have just discussed, what we traditionally think of when we think of power. So hard power is the power of coercion, trying to force people to do what we want. For example, states use carrots, what Joseph Nye calls carrots. Carrots are material incentives like foreign aid, better trade deals, or they can use sticks, what Nye calls sticks. And sticks are threats or military force to force others to do what they want. And while effective, hard power is often very costly. We can see how much Russia is paying for what they are doing right now. But also the use of hard power can affect a country's reputation. And I think these two examples of the US and Russia, the tariffs and the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, are very good examples of countries that have the image affected, the reputation affected because of the use of hard power. So what can we do? So states, we started recognizing that the use of hard power can be costly, can affect our reputation, and then they came to an understanding that we can achieve our goals through a different means, and that's what we call soft power. Soft power, I tend to tell students that we can define soft power in one word, and it's the power of attraction. So soft power is achieved through shared culture, through political values, through foreign policies, through music, through movie, and soft power is basically created by generating a positive image of a country abroad. So to see soft power in action, we need to look at popular culture, for example. Is there anyone here who likes K-pop? Can you please raise your hands? Anyone? There's no one who okay, there are some people who usually I see more hands raised in my classroom. I mean, K-pop is a very good example of how states can generate soft power through culture. Usually, if you like K-pop, you start liking, maybe you think about learning some words in Korean. If you like K-pop, you start thinking, okay, maybe when I have money, I will travel to Korea. And this helps to improve the image of Korea as a country abroad. I don't know, 10 years ago, not 10 years because I was not teaching 10 years ago, but I don't know, 5 years ago, I was not really talking much about South Korea in my classes, and now I do. And that's because of the influence of soft power, of K-pop that generates soft power to South Korea. So China, they realized that they had a very powerful mechanism to project a friendly or benevolent image of China abroad. And that's exactly, and this mechanism was recognized by the mid-1950s, and it's the giant panda. Now, I'm not sure you all know, but pandas are a unique asset that are native exclusively to China. So in the nature, there are pandas only in China. And it makes them a very unique national symbol, right? So one of Chinese main foreign policy goals is to enhance its positive image abroad. Remember, I told you hard power can be expensive. Soft power is cheaper. And we can use pandas to generate an attractive image to China. So the pandas are the perfect, fluffy, non-threatening diplomatic tool to enhance Chinese soft power. So panda diplomacy is essentially the Chinese practice of loaning pandas to foreign zoos as a tool of international relations. But this practice of panda diplomacy has changed over time. So we can study panda diplomacy across 3 different phases that really traces this evolving geopolitical strategy of China. So the first phase was really about gifts and building alliances, right? So this started in the Cold War era. So pandas, they were sent to allies in the Soviet Union in the late 1950s, throughout the 1960s. But then what really happened and what was interesting was that in 1972, President Nixon, he traveled to Beijing. And then right after, China sent 2 pandas to the US as gifts. And this was a huge soft power gesture showing the normalization of the relations between China and the United States. And at this point, at this first phase, pandas were pure diplomatic gifts. But then, by mid-1980s, things changed a little bit. So China, they started recognizing the huge economic value of pandas. And they shift from giving pandas just as diplomatic gifts to loaning them out to foreign zoos for profit. So today, almost all pandas in foreign zoos are on a 10-year loan from China. So maybe you didn't see, I wanted to ask the question, but how much do you think a foreign zoo paid to China per panda per year? Go ahead. It was $1 million. It's $1 million per year. What is more interesting, so if a zoo, let's say in San Diego, they have 2 pandas, and the pandas, they have a baby. This panda that is born also automatically belongs to China, and they pay $400,000 per year per new panda that is born abroad. So they have full control over their panda. So any panda born legally belongs to China. And this phase, the second phase, was still about soft power. So the money that they get, usually they use to fund conservation, but the primary function was still to promote the idea that, okay, pandas are cute, therefore China is nice. I like pandas, pandas come from China, so I like China as well. However, a deeper, more transactional phase was about to begin by the mid-2000s. And that's what in the literature we refer to as the third phase of panda diplomacy. So by 2012, scholars studying panda diplomacy, they noticed a very interesting correlation. So they noticed that the countries that were receiving these pandas were almost always countries who had recently closed trade deals with China. So here, the pandas are no longer soft power, right? This is a calculated use of pandas as a material incentive for countries who had close economic relations to China. So in Joseph Nye's vocabulary, a panda is now a classic carrot, economic incentives. So nowadays, pandas are used in a combination of hard power and soft power, and that's what Nye calls smart power, the association of hard power and soft power. And crucially, China still maintains this monopoly over pandas. Again, they are the only source, and they retain ownership of all pandas that are born abroad, and it gives China a complete leverage over the use and also the ability to recall these pandas back to China. So let's take a look at 2 specific examples that demonstrate this phase 3 dynamic. So first in 2010, a zoo in Scotland, they received 2 pandas from China, and this came shortly after China and the UK signed a major trade deals involving salmon and Land Rovers, which was very important for the Chinese people. And again, this connection between the pandas and the closing trade deal was hard to ignore. And more recently, in 2023, Canada received 2 pandas after the Canadian Prime Minister signed more than 20 commercial deals with China that was valued at over $3 billion. So right after, China got 2 pandas. So we can really see this correlation between closing trade deals with China and getting pandas. But again, pandas can be carrots, but it can also be sticks. Right? It can also be a tool of pressure or a tool of retaliation. So what I can tell you is that China is very selective about which countries will get pandas, but they are also very selective regarding which countries can keep the pandas, because again, these are loans. So a few years ago, a panda was quickly recalled, a panda from San Diego called Taidan, was quickly recalled to the US after Obama met Dalai Lama, and then he also at that time announced an arms sale to Taiwan, and these 2 actions were viewed as highly provocative by China, and right after he recalled, he asked the pandas back. So they had to send the poor pandas from the US back to China. In 2014, I don't know if you remember, there was the disappearance of the Malaysian Airlines plane, and there were a lot of Chineses in that plane, and China was not really satisfied regarding how Malaysia was handling the investigation, so they delayed the delivery of a panda that was about to go to a Malaysian zoo. And more recently, in the past 2 years, similar recalls and re-agreements have been reported with countries like the US and Japan, illustrating in this way that the panda, far from being just a cute, cuddly ambassador, is really a highly sensitive diplomatic tool used to reinforce or actually punish for measures taken that does not appeal to China. So just to conclude, because I want to have time for questions not only about panda diplomacy but about the faculty as such, what started as simply friendly gifts, diplomatic gifts, has evolved into a sophisticated blend of hard and soft power, generating smart power to China. And panda diplomacy shows us that soft power, when combined with economic incentives and diplomatic practices, become really an effective tool for generating smart power, and China, in my view, is really mastering at it using this national asset. So if you have any questions regarding panda diplomacy or they study at the Faculty of Social and Economic Sciences, maybe more specifically European studies, we still have, I don't know, 3-4 more minutes and I can answer questions. Otherwise, you'll find me for like 10 minutes downstairs, but then I have to rush to teach another class soon. Thank you. Questions, maybe? No? Go ahead. Oh, that's my former colleague.
Yeah, thank you for this amazing presentation. I was just really curious, how do we know it works? So if they, for example, recall the panda from San Diego, what does happen? Do people notice that? So how do we know that it actually works?
That's a very good question. It's highly mediated because the goal is to really send a message, and not only to, let's say, to the US, to the US in the case of the pandas from San Diego, but from the entire world. If you want to keep your pandas, you better act as we want and do what we want you to do in the international level. So these returns are highly medialized. If you Google panda diplomacy, you will see a lot written about it in the media. And again, how we measure, how it affects the image of China, then there are indicators looking at soft power and how different countries are perceived in different places. And some people are studying really the impact of panda diplomacy, but I don't have the data with me now. Thank you. Other questions? You can ask. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to ask whether we, as Slovakia, have some kind of tools to project this soft power as well, because China obviously has these pandas as a very powerful tool, but what about us and our diplomacy as Slovakia?
Maybe I would put this question to you, as I was not born and raised in Slovakia, but what would you think could be important assets to promote Slovak soft power abroad? Not necessarily to do that in the way that China does, but to promote Slovak image abroad. What can we sell to the world in terms of cultural assets, for example?
Slovakia has the highest amount of cars built per capita. I feel like, as you mentioned, there's Scotland and their Land Rover deal. I feel like we can also offer our cars.
Yeah, the automobile industry is something that Slovakia can be proud of and sell abroad. The nature, the mountains, for example. In terms of investments, the euro, being a country that has the euro as the main currency, is very attractive to foreign businesses. The location, being located in the middle of Europe, is also something that may attract people. Again, there was an important study conducted also by one of my colleagues, Olga Gyarfashova, in which they tried to understand which tools generate soft power to Slovakia. And then later on, a few years ago, when Slovakia was holding the presidency of the Council, they came up with this new strategy, which is called Good Idea Slovakia. And you can watch the strategy on YouTube, and it really shows what Slovakia has best to offer. Yeah. Any other questions? We still have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Do you have Brazilian example of panda diplomacy?
Actually, I don't have, but I think the Brazilians could use the capybaras for that. And again, I'm not sure if I can give this information, but there are attempts to bring capybaras to the Bratislava Zoo. And this could be used as a way to improve Brazilian image abroad. But what Brazil does, for example, is to organize in the month of September this huge festival called Brasilslava. And it's a way to promote. We have different events. We have books translated from Portuguese to Slovak. We had a Brazilian Day at Viezdoslavovo Námestie. We had Brazilian movies screened at the movie theater in Cintorinska. So we had several events, and the goal was really to improve the image of Brazil in Slovakia, and that's also a tool of soft power. Okay, so one last question because we are out of time. Okay, so we can answer that in class because she's also my student. So, okay, thank you.